Shout out to Reggie. He said, I'm pro-life, but isn't taking away people's choice, taking away free will. If that's the case, should we ban things like drunk driving and premarital sex? Well, Reggie, I love you. Reggie, I'm so glad you're here. Reggie, I'm so glad that you're vulnerable. I'm so glad that you're vulnerable in asking that question. Okay, so, Reggie, respectfully, Reggie, we did ban drunk driving. Drunk driving's been banned for a long time. You can't drink and drive. You can't do that.
Is he for real?
Reggie, listen to me.
Reggie, put the drink down.
Reggie, put the drink down. Reggie, you cannot drink and drive in America.
Reggie, I don't know what your plans were for tonight.
I don't know what you were thinking about with this question.
Pour it out the window.
No more drinking for you.
Yeah.
Reggie, we interfere with people's free will all the time, my brother. Reggie, you cannot drink and drive.
Hello.
Reggie, you cannot speed.
Can't murder.
You can't kill people. You can't grape people.
Oh, don't take away his free will, man.
Reggie, we take away people's free will all the time. You don't have as many abilities as you think you do.
Yeah. Mind you, you still have the free will to do it.
You can do it.
You're just not being supported.
You're just not being supported.
Yeah. And dare I say, you're getting punished.
You're getting punished.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we're talking about where is the line between human autonomy and order, where's that line? Because remember, as a Christian, the tension I live in is compassion and order. Jeremiah 22, Romans 13. That is a tension I live in. On the order front, you cannot do certain things without consequence. Where is that line? Where's that line? That line, listen to me, is usually, now it's not an objective line of what the scriptures say, we then legislate. It's actually not that. The line within our pluralistic society usually is if it negatively impacts someone else. That's where we draw the line, right?
Yeah.
This is why in many states, I don't know if it's on a federal level, if you are intimate with someone that is drunk, that can be a removal of their consent. Why? Because it hurts someone else. Some people are incapable of giving consent. I'm not talking about biblically. I'm not talking about spiritually. I'm talking about from a pragmatic, where are the boundaries? You can't drink and drive because you can kill someone else. You can hurt someone else.
Yep.
Not to mention yourself. But you are not an island in and of yourself, Reggie. So your choices impact other people, right? Now, I would have no problem with saying adultery should be illegal. Punish them. Why? Because adultery usually hurts someone else. There's a third person in that equation that is going to hurt, and there's oftentimes children that it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. There's right. But there's all kinds of stuff we limit. And where we usually draw the line is when someone else's bodily autonomy is involved. So why is the pro-life position coherent? Is because it actually is consistent with the view that someone else is being hurt. Now, what the pro-choicers will say is that somebody else isn't really a somebody else. It's not really a person. It's a, what was the video we saw earlier? It's a parasite.
Yeah.
It's a clump of cells.
Yep.
And then we have to get scientific and say, well, what is a human? What constitutes a human?
Yes.
What is, right? And so, Reggie, I think you're missing that you cannot hurt other people in the name of your free will and it be without consequence. You cannot do that. That is not how it works.
Yeah.
That is why your position, as sincere as you're trying to be, and I'm grateful for the super chat, and I'm grateful that you're here, and that you're being vulnerable. Your position is actually incoherent. You can't be pro-life and be okay with babies getting killed.
Yeah.
Because of free will. That doesn't make sense. That's like me saying you shouldn't drink and drive, but if you drink and drive, what does it matter to me? You can't do that. That is an incoherent position. Either I'm against drinking and driving, or I'm for drinking and driving. You can't have it both ways, right? Shout out to Reggie, just sent another super chat. Let me throw this back up. He said, thank you for clarifying that, because we're discussing Bible study and been thinking about it. Thinking, not it? Yeah. Yeah, I know. I appreciate you, and I'm not trying to roast you, and I'm not trying to be fun. I mean, I am trying to be funny, but I'm not trying to roast you. And
We
I'm
can
not
have fun here.
Yeah, we're having some fun here, and you seem like a good sport. But this is reflected in a lot of people's temperament, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, well, what about free will? It's like, yeah, no, there's a limit to free will.
Hello.
There's a limit to what you can do versus what you're legally allowed to do, and then the Christian virtue ethic is what you ought to do. Is what you ought to do. I think all of us on an intrinsic level, even if you're pro-choice, know that you ought not to use the deletion of babies as a form of birth control. We all know that ought not to happen.
Yes.
But the pro-choice position is we need it to be safe, rare, and legal. And I would say you would never extend that logic to drunk driving. You would never extend that logic to any other aspect. You would never, right?
Safe, rare, and legal. Yeah.
You can't extend. So it's an incoherent position that falls on its head, and it's anchored on the basis of compassion, but it's actually not compassionate to the mother, because you haven't looked at the data of how many women are negatively impacted, how many women sometimes are physically impacted, and have complications later on in their life, the mental health risks, and the lack of legal rights for the father that may want the child. So a father has no reproductive rights in this paradigm, in this she has free will and bodily autonomy, and he does it. That's a part of him in her.
Yeah.
Right? Like very, from a biological standpoint, a very technical standpoint, that is a part of someone else in her, and he has zero right over that. That's unjust. So there's so many incoherent views to how this is fleshed out, that what you really got to get down to is, what is a human? How do we constitute what a human is? And why, if you agree, when do you agree on personhood? If it's about being sentient, a baby isn't sentient. Neither is the 80-year-old person on life support. Neither of them are sentient. Neither is the person that gets into a car accident and loses their consciousness and potentially has brain dead. That person. So you can't define it as being sentient, because that's incoherent.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't. Yeah, being pro-life is being pro-woman.
Yeah.
Being pro-life is being pro-woman. Absolutely, Aaron. Well said. So anyway, hopefully that makes sense. And again, I'm not trying to. I think he has a great question, and I think we have to be okay with people asking these questions and not jumping down their throat and saying, you're not a Christian.
Yeah.
That's not helpful, friends. That is not helpful. Telling people they're not a Christian because they're trying to process this and really trying to ask the questions. I think we need that dialogue. And I think sometimes folks on the right will just jump right into, I can't believe so-and-so is not a Christian because so-and-so has a wrong idea about this. They're misguided. They're misunderstood. They don't quite get it.
Yeah.
And it's like as if you've never had a wrong belief before. As if you've never thought a wrong thought before.
Yep.
As if you've never been misled before by the cultural zeitgeist. Because the narrative is woman's body, woman's choice, woman's body, woman's choice, woman's body, woman's choice. What about the 9-year-old? What about the 10-year-old? Woman's body, woman's choice. How dare you? Forcing women, right? And it's like, that's an effective narrative. That's an effective narrative that distorts people's worldviews. And so I'm so thankful for Jeffrey being vulnerable and being willing to ask the question that a lot of people are probably thinking and afraid to ask. You know what I mean? So we got to be willing to have these conversations and not jump down on people's throat and be like, yo, because oftentimes when you, my family is, my dad's, they're pro-choice. But you know what, when we sit down and have these conversations, you know what they go? They go, oh, okay. I mean, I'd agree with you, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
You're consistent. You're coherent. That makes more sense. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Comment down below and let me know what you think. And be sure to check out this video that YouTube is recommending just for you. Let me know if they nailed it. All right? I'll see you over there. Peace.